Hey guys, I have heard enough about this Dylan Mulvaney controversy, decided to weigh in. There are a lot of people who are blaming Bud Light for their strategy of hiring Dylan Mulvaney as an influencer. On the right, they're saying go woke, go broke. On the left, they are criticizing Bud Light's decision not to stand by Dylan Mulvaney. Both sides are wrong here. Both sides, the right is saying if you hadn't gone woke, then you wouldn't have gone broke, and it's a fair point, but it misses the mark. And on the left, they're saying, well, if you hadn't walked away from Dylan Mulvaney, then we would have still supported you. Fair point, but they weren't really supporting Bud Light in the first place. 90% of Bud Light's customers were people who were politically agnostic or fell on the right, like blue-collar right-wing voters, according to a study that was done at Oxford. So that's not me. But the key thing here is that both sides are missing the point, and they fail to understand that your customer doesn't buy your product or service. They hire it to help them make progress in their life. I'll give you an example. When I was dating my wife, and can't believe I'm going to say this. It makes me look like a horrible person, especially if you know my wife. But I broke up with my wife 3 times. I know. Oh, I know. I broke up with my wife 3 times, and I was talking with an older friend of mine in my neighborhood, really great guy named Paul McMullen, and I kind of looked up to him, still do, but was talking with Paul, and I told him, I broke up with Jill again, and he said, Zach, why? And I told him, well, I've been thinking about these different things that I want in a wife, thinking about this and that and the other. And he sits there for a minute, and I remember he looks at me, and there's like this light bulb that goes off in his head, and he says, Zach, you're looking for you. You're looking for another Zach. You shouldn't be looking for another Zach. You should be looking for someone who's a complement to you. Now, that's when the light bulb went off in my head. And I had the opportunity to sit there and think, oh. Well, after that, my wife and I got back together, and we ended up getting married, and it's been 10 happy years. But the idea was that I was dating, right? I was looking for another copy of me. That was the job that I was hiring someone to do, the wife job, right? But I shouldn't have been hiring for that. I was hiring for the wrong job. Well, if you look at the job that customers are hiring Bud Light to do, it wasn't to get drunk. It really wasn't. If you look at Bud Light's research and other research that's been done regarding alcohol consumption among different political spectrums, what you find is that people who were consuming Bud Light tended to be like blue-collar workers. And these blue-collar workers were, they preferred, what was it? It was that Democrats preferred like clear liquors, and they were actually more regular drinkers. They would also drink like wine and stuff like that. They really didn't drink like, I think it called it like brown liquors. I don't drink, but this is what the article said, the research paper said. Whereas the people who were on the right side of the spectrum, they were the people who were tending to consume this alcohol. But they weren't regular drinkers. They were more like social drinkers. And so as I've been looking at and consuming this commentary, one thing stood out to me, and it was that people were hiring Bud Light to help them unwind at the end of a long day. That's job number 1. Job number 2 was they were hiring Bud Light to help them connect with their friends. I want to go to a bar and connect with my friends, shoot a little pool, play some darts, and I'll have a Bud Light. I don't want to get drunk, but I'll have a Bud Light. The third thing was help me fly under the radar at social situations where I don't want to get drunk, but drinking is expected. So like I'm going to a wedding, I don't want to get drunk, drinking is expected. There's a bar there. I guess I'll have a Bud Light. Now, hiring Dylan Mulvaney flipped all of that on its head, because if you think about it, right, Dylan Mulvaney, the instant that Dylan Mulvaney got involved in this conversation, no longer was the consumer able to drink a Bud Light and unwind. They were now directly confronted with these things that were stressors, that got them wound up, politically speaking. They couldn't fly under the radar at these social events because, you go to these social events and you're seen walking around with a Bud Light, and people are going to ask you, hey, what do you think of this Dylan Mulvaney controversy? And the third job, help me connect with other people. Well, you go to a bar and you order a Bud Light, and then all of a sudden it's the same problem as the wedding. You're getting targeted for a conversation, and your friends may fall on the other side of the political aisle, and you just don't want to have a fight. So you're ordering a Miller Lite instead. So Bud Light's decision to bring in Dylan Mulvaney was done by a very smart woman. I think her name's Alyssa Heinerschneid. She won some like really prestigious advertising awards. She was in like the top 50, like really big deal. But it was that because she did not understand the job that the customers were hiring Bud Light to do, she made missteps, tactical missteps that ended up destroying the brand. And I don't think you will ever see Bud Light recover in the next 5 to 10 years. They'll probably have to shelve the brand for like 10 years while people relax about this and forget about it. It's going to be like a long, long time before Bud Light ever gets any market share again. And it's just because they did not understand the job that their customer was hiring them to do. So if you want to avoid making a Bud Light-sized mistake, what do you have to do? Well, you have to understand the job that your customer is hiring you to do. See, Nike, the job that people were hiring Nike to do wasn't related to that. It had nothing to do with politics. In fact, most people who use Nike, they tend to be more on the liberal side, from what I understand. I could be totally wrong, but some of the statistics that I've seen have indicated that. Regardless, people aren't hiring Nike to help them unwind. They're hiring Nike to help them exercise. And that allows them to basically separate out what is going on with this political sphere from the stuff that was going on with their exercising life. So the key takeaways that I want you to take from this is simple. Just learn the job that your customer is hiring you to do. Build a relationship with your customer and talk to them. That's it. If you understand the job that your customer is hiring you to do, you're going to avoid these huge missteps.